So I did indeed decide to play 100 of the hardest obbies. The title is not clickbait, and the only purpose of this is to find out which of the hardest Roblox obbies are actually fun and enjoyable to play. Or well, at least in my opinion, even though I might have a huge skill issue later on into this video. Or well, should I say towers, as the way this entire video will work is by going in order from the easiest to the hardest towers ever beaten on Roblox, without counting stuff such as tiered obbies, as that's a whole different story, and ranking each one of the towers by their icons on a tier list based on my opinions after playing them, with each one of these towers being the ones that are usually pretty long lasting and that you would see in Juke's Towers of Hell, except some of them are literally horrible, whilst others are more enjoyable than anything you could ever build. But now for some quick context. Obbies are basically the Roblox version of the word parkour, and Juke's Towers of Hell is a community-driven parkour game that relies around towers, with over 300 towers inside of it. So with that said, I guess it's time to begin with the 100th hardest tower ever beaten on Roblox. The Tower of Hell and Despair. This is a peak terrifying difficulty tower, and the first impressions that this obby will give you is that it's absolutely garbage, but it really isn't. Honestly, I really enjoyed playing this, and even got halfway through the tower without failing. Although the negative side of things is that one fail usually ends your entire run. I would put this in the A tier, but honestly it really isn't that good, so therefore it gets a B rank. Tower of Augmented Misery. If I had $10 for the amount of updates that this tower has received over time, I would be a millionaire. This tower has legit gotten 5 or even more nerfing updates, or just overall small updates that in my opinion should have just never been done, and it should have just been kept as a high catastrophic difficulty tower. It is a good tower though, except the button progress, so it will get a high A rank. Tower of Cataclysmic Layers. Many people enjoy this and do it as their first catastrophic tower, but oops, looks like it's not actually considered catastrophic. However, fun fact about this tower, the first version was Unreal difficulty and was humanly impossible for when it was first created, and I personally don't really enjoy this tower though, so this gets a high B rank from me. Tower of Atrocious Trust Catastrophe. I actually beat this tower a while ago, so that's cool, right? This was considered catastrophic, but moved down to terrifying difficulty not long ago. But I still disagree and think it's catastrophic difficulty, and I would actually give this tower an S rank if it wasn't for the annoying loop failing part of the grind, so this gets an A rank from me. Tower of Precise Turns. The gameplay in this tower is catastrophic difficulty, but every floor is a safety net. And I like safety nets, but the gameplay is still pretty inconsistent and not very fun to have to consistently do. B rank for this one. Tower of Perplexed Ascent. Right, I don't know when this was actually created, but this is horrible. And there is no excuse for how bad this is, even if it was created a few years ago in my opinion. So welcome to our first F ranked tower, I guess? Tower of Interdimensional Rifts. Guys, what if I spam creative client objects and good design, but completely ignore how annoying it will get for people to play throughout this tower? You can disagree with me for anything, but this is getting a C rank from me. I just don't like this type of tower, it's bad in my opinion, I don't know what else to say. Tower of Chromatic Inclination. This tower actually describes a story about narcissistic love, which I think is pretty cool until you realize that the creator ended up being a relationship cheater or something, I don't remember exactly, and the obbying community started calling the creator of this tower a PDF file, even though he was literally a minor. But hey, I don't know the situation entirely, so take it with a grain of salt. The tower itself is pretty good in my opinion though, and will be an A rank. I enjoyed this tower quite a lot. Tower of Yummy Hot Dog. I really don't think this tower was made with the intent of being good, but I tried to beat this tower and failed floor 8 in the most RNG way possible and never played it again. Here's the fail I had if you want to see that. What? Nah. But it is somewhat fun though, so this is getting a B rank from me. Tower of Decaying Serenity. This has some difficulty spikes, but overall it's a really good tower and I don't have much else to say about it, except that it's an A rank. Tower of the 7th Chromosome. The Roblox obbying community has some really silly tower names, doesn't it guys? I honestly don't know how, but I actually somewhat enjoy this tower. Although I doubt it was made for the purpose of being good. I would put this in the A tier, but it's just not that great to deserve an A, so it gets a B rank. And those have to be the first 10 towers of the video that I've played and ranked, with 90 more to go. So hey, get some crisps and enjoy watching, and like and subscribe so I can someday be the next Creepcraft or something, I don't know, but yeah, just do it. Alright, subscribe chat, just do it. Tower of Inferno Galore. Usually some towers look horrible but are actually good. This tower is equally as bad in both terms of quality though, which will be our first D ranked tower, at least in my opinion. Y'all better comment your opinion so I can see what y'all agree and disagree with, on God. Steeple of Pineapple. Steeples are just towers but basically split in half, I guess, so they still count as towers, but other than that, this steeple is honestly really fun, except the last floor, which ruined all of my enjoyment for this steeple. I spent 20 hours trying to complete this just to have the dumbest fails on floor 6. It still gets a low A rank though, as I enjoy most of it. Tower of Clue Underestimated Parkour. The easiest catastrophic tower difficulty on the list. And I beat this tower just to find out that most of the community doesn't even think it's catastrophic difficulty. Other than that though, this is a pretty enjoyable tower, but the tower's final stage makes me put this into the B rank instead of A. I also failed the final stage like 8 times, but we don't talk about that. Tower of Long Lasting Leukophobia. This tower is basically the baby of Tower of Champions Road. I honestly have no idea why I even decided to complete this tower, but it's basically if the Tower of Hopeless Hell and Tower of Champions Road had a baby together, and while most people dislike this, I personally enjoyed it, so it's getting an A rank from me, even though most people would probably think it's like a D, which is kind of silly. Tower of Fervent Imperfection. This would actually be so much more fun as a terrifying tower with safety nets and less parts that just kill you if you make one mistake past the halfway point of the tower. It would get an S if it didn't have so many punishing parts, so it's getting an A rank. Tower of Cataphor. This is legit a joke tower. I wonder if the creator was on Dogpack 404's mushrooms while creating this. Anyways, joke tower, what the hell rank from me. I absolutely hate this tower. Tower of Champions Gaming. There is nothing too crazy about this, as it's your average B ranked tower in my opinion, but it's pretty cool and fun when you learn the tower, I guess. Steeple of World's Tightest Timer. This steeple is legit if Flood Escape 2 had timed buttons instead of rising lava. I really am not a big fan of speedrunning, so sorry that this is getting a D rank, I guess. It's pretty bad though in my opinion. I'm not a fan of speedrunning, I guess. Maybe you guys can teach me speedrunning. Tower of Silly Furry. I'm done bro, why is the place called Tower of Submissive Furry? This tower is literally the definition of what if an immature Roblox furry created a tower obby. No hate to furries by the way, some of y'all are really cool and chill, but the gameplay in this tower just is not on point at all for me, and neither are the unfunny furry references. D rank. Tower of Quadrilaterals, or however that's spelled. The creator of this tower is on another level of freaky, if you know what I mean. But anyways, this tower has a really cool atmosphere, and I love its design choices. The gameplay is also pretty good, so I guess it deserves an A rank. Tower of Generation Failure. I've beaten this tower like what, 3 years ago at this point? Damn, actually a long time has passed, and this also is probably the most well-known catastrophic difficulty tower on Roblox. But even though most people who have completed this tower will dislike it, I personally have always enjoyed it, and I would go as far as to give this tower the S ranking for its time, as this was made a long time ago, so it gets an S tier from me. Steeple of Upsetting. I genuinely don't understand why anyone in their right mind would want to verify this and make it one of the hardest obbies beaten on Roblox. There is literally nothing good about this, so yeah, but this is our first disgusting ranked tower. It just has to be. Tower of Juridity. This has to be the coldest catastrophic difficulty tower ever made. Insert a funny cold emoji joke here maybe. Anyways, I like this tower's design choice and the gameplay is a little difficult to run, but once you get the hang of it, it's going to be pretty fun. A rank for this once again. Tower of Ruthless Royal Architecture. I don't care if you like or hate this tower, but why would you ever create a tower with an extremely pointless inside that's all safety netted and takes ages to consistently pull off every single time without ripping your hairs out, just to have an infinitely long final stage? That's the whole reason the tower is catastrophic difficulty. I hate this. I cannot give this anything higher than a D rank. Tower of Speedy Cat Deluxe. This is just too generic for me to say anything about, other than it's just somewhat fun, I guess, once you run it. And also it's pretty punishing, but other than that, it's getting a C rank. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's getting a C rank from me. It's just a little too generic, honestly. I don't know what else to say about it. Tower of Angered Passageways. Is this by any chance the prequel to the Tower of the 7th Chromosome? Anyways, this tower has some crazy difficulty spikes, but I can't really tell if it's just me having a massive skill issue, so it's getting a C rank. Tower of Arduous Architecture. The architecture of this tower is indeed arduous. Wait, what does arduous even mean? I've never heard this word before. Wait, give me a second, let me Google it. Difficult and tiring. Like, I don't know how that makes sense, but the design is pretty cool and the gameplay is like a B rank personally. So this is getting a high B rank. Tower of Wacky Trust Destruction. This is basically if Tower of Champions Road and Tower of Augmented Misery were bonded together. As cool as this tower may look, I dislike some of its difficulty spikes and some of its gameplay a lot, so it's getting a B rank, unless once again I have a massive skill issue, which could very much be the possibility of me ranking some towers lower or higher. Tower of Fiend Massacre. I wanted to grind this tower and beat it because it's kind of enjoyable, but I never did. Anyways, I also can't tell if the design of this tower resembles Cataclysmic Rails or Geometry Dash Hell themed decoration more. It's probably both, so it's getting an A rank, as the gameplay is pretty good once you run it. Tower of Disengaging Lunacy. Dude, again, why do some people even waste their time completing towers like this? I genuinely don't understand how you can enjoy towers like this, but hey, I guess people have their own taste in quality, right? Anyways, this is definitely an F rank. I don't care if I'm biased towards this type of gameplay, I just hate it. Tower of Descent into Exile. Even though I've used some skips to complete this, I've gotten to the final floor without any skips, and I don't get why so many people always say that this tower has bad gameplay and only focuses on design. The gameplay really isn't that bad at all if you actually spend time running and completing the tower, and because of that I'm giving this an S rank. Also, my cat broke a lamp while I was grinding this like a year and a half ago, so that's kinda funny, I guess. Here, listen to this. Tower of Rove Culmination. I beat this tower twice, and I can safely say, holy smokes, this tower is better than going on a luxury vacation. I love this tower so much, I cannot give this an SS rank. It's the first SS ranked tower. Steeple of Coconut. I still don't understand why this is only number 67 on the list of the hardest towers beaten. It should be way higher, and not only that, but this steeple f***ing sucks booty cheeks, dude, so hard. It's like an F rank. Tower of Monty Mole Mayhem. Take this B rank with a grain of salt, as I'll be honest, I only got about halfway through this tower and just left the game, as I didn't want to bother playing anymore. I got pretty bored. It's over 30 minutes long and I don't have much else to say for this one. Tower of Memory Leak. What's with tower creators being so freaky, man? There was so much drama related to the creator of this tower, but hey, I don't care about that, as I'm just here to play the tower itself. And holy shivered me timbers, this is horrible once again. No clue why anyone would verify this, but hey, fair enough I guess. The humor of Kai Cenat references in this tower are also extremely unfunny, and I have to give this an F rank. Tower of Tortuous Oblivion. This is a perfect example of how you should make a nerve-wracking tower actually fun. I love this tower's gameplay and usage of safety nets not being entirely safety nets, but rather sending you back the more you fail, instead of instantly killing you. But what I don't like about this tower is that its difficulty spikes like crazy on the second half, which is why, in my opinion, this is above mid-catastrophic difficulty, but again, I could have a massive skill issue, although I'm still giving this an S rank. Tower of Unorthodoxy. This tower is actually pretty cool and I definitely see why some people would enjoy completing this a lot, so it's going to get an A rank. I don't have proper experience on this, so I just out-jumped it once and yeah, it's an A rank for me. Tower of Anka. Just as the tower description says, a 90 degrees snap to grid catastrophic difficulty tower. And I'm sure this tower would be more enjoyable for me if I didn't have a massive skill issue when it comes to learning gameplay of towers of this difficulty. So I'm putting this into the B tier for now. Tower of Otherworldly Expertise. Yet another freaky tower creator that was banished from the community for various freaky reasons, I guess. But that's not what I'm here for, so I'll be honest and say I didn't really bother running this tower, but from what I've seen and from the first impressions of like out jumping this, it's like a C rank, especially considering this was made ages ago from me. I can't see myself ranking this higher than like a C. Tower of Reproachful Eye War. First of all, why is the tower named Reproachful Eye War? There is absolutely nothing resembling an eye war, quote unquote, in this tower. And second of all, I am not a fan of the gameplay in this tower at all, and it has some huge difficulty spikes every now and then. Unless I have a massive skill issue for the 500th time, so I'm putting this into the C rank as well. Citadel of Colorless Despair. The first citadel of the video! And whilst this citadel will most likely give you depression from the lack of colors throughout your journey of playing it, it's still somewhat enjoyable I guess, so therefore it's getting a B rank from me, even though others might hate this lol. Also, shout out to this guy in the chat I guess, he's kinda cool, even though he like used something that sounded like an insult, but like yeah, he's cool, you're goated I guess. Tower of Pure Ability. Alright, who's ready for the most random airdropped words of all time? I was actually invited to collab for this tower a few years ago, when I had no idea what world I was living in, and when my username was still letters of Sue. And holy s***, I'm glad I didn't join the collab even though I was planning to. I would have only made the tower worse. But not only that, this is a horrible tower with such an insane amount of difficulty spikes. And I can't give this anything higher than an F honestly. Sorry to whoever made this I guess, even though I know who it is. Tower of Live the Dream. If you do anything while playing this tower, it surely isn't living the dream, with whatever this tower's gameplay is. And as bad as this tower is, I am able to somehow find a little small amount of enjoyment in this tower. So even though I would give this an F rank, I'm going to give it a D tier instead. Tower of Necrotic Incantation. The place for this tower is private for some reason, but this tower is legit a recreation of the Tower of Flattening Nightmares in Juke's Towers of Hell, and I'd actually go as far as to say I'd rather play the original tower than whatever this is, cause I absolutely hate the difficulty spikes in this tower, even though the original also has difficulty spikes. At least they aren't as hard. Or once again, maybe I'm just bad at the game. Say whatever you want, I'm giving this a C tier. I just don't like the way it was built. Tower of Punishing Runs. The name of this tower does indeed live up to its name, but the gameplay is kind of enjoyable I guess at times, and I would honestly beat this if I really had to, so I'm giving this a B tier even though it looks horrible. Steeper of Ixape Disagreement. Extremely horrible joke steeper that's automatically going to get the joke tier, but I must say, whoever this guy on floor 2 is, you are ugly as hell, no offense. And I must also say the music in the steeper is very silly but somehow good, even though I can't understand a single word. I mean just listen to this, unless it gets copyrighted and I have to mute it. Tower of Monumental Abyss. The creator of this tower is cool, and so is the tower cool, and actually really fun to complete. You can clearly tell that a lot of care was put into building this tower, unlike the last few towers we've seen. And not only that, but the gameplay in this tower is actually enjoyable and fun, so this tower gets an S tier from me. Tower of yeah, it's pretty empty entirely. I actually made a showcase on this tower before I started making proper content on this channel, so I have more experience with this and it sucks booty cheeks, so yeah, F tier. It's just another TOVH ripoff. Tower of Thin Mints. A lot of people will probably disagree with me, but I think this tower is overrated. I really don't like the tower's gameplay that much, but that's probably because I'm not a big fan of this style of tower really. Although I will say the progression route is pretty cool I guess, but other than that I'm going to have to be honest and put this into the B tier. Stone Facility. This is an extremely odd tower that's actually somehow enjoyable in a weird way. And fun fact, the stone in the name is actually an acronym that does not refer to stone at all, but rather an extremely overly complicated name for this tower known as Sadistically Terrifying Overachieving Neglectful Enragement Facility. Which doesn't make much sense if you ask me, but hey, just because I feel like it, here's a review of both halves of this tower. The first half is pretty simple once you memorize the memory for free-for-all and will become extremely consistent, while the second half is an inconsistent mess of difficulty spikes, but I'm still giving this the B tier as it was made 6 years ago or something. And with Stone Facility being out of the way and ranked, we are officially halfway through every single obby or tower in this video, and if you don't want to hear me self-promote then skip this, but like you should totally subscribe and like the video. It really helps me out a lot to get to like 10,000 before 2025, along with following me on Roblox. You could also join my Discord server too, I guess, so thank you if you do those things. But anyways, Tower of the Wedge's Vengeance is next. This one honestly sucks. I am not a fan of the gameplay style of this tower at all, and I dislike the tower overall personally. It's not like it has good design either, so C rank it is. The one and only Tower of Champions Road. Fun fact, if you search my username up in a tower completion checker, you will see that I actually have beaten this tower. But joke's on you, somebody else beat it on my account, because I guess I was stupid enough to let somebody do that. Oh well. Anyways, I've gotten to the safety net of this tower in the past, and as much as I used to dislike this in the past, now that I don't have as big of a skill issue as I used to, this is honestly somewhat enjoyable with the right strategies, so this is getting a B rank. Tower of Pulsating Ambition. Cool tower, I guess. I don't really know how to judge this, as I don't want to get repetitive, but basically it's just your casual B ranked tower in my opinion. It's a pretty quick ass topic though, I guess. Tower of Shining Excursion. No clue how this tower is a sequel to a glitch-based tower in Juke's Towers of Hell, known as Tower of Glitching and Healing, but I guess it is, even though the style is entirely different, other than like having a few glitches. Other than that though, this thing is extremely annoying while grinding it, but I'm still going to give this tower the A tier, as I personally enjoy it. Tower of St. Hade. I genuinely don't know how to spell that, what the hell. This is the Great Centurion if it was a tower instead of 100 floors increasing in difficulty. And this will also officially be yet another tower that gets the disgusting tier. Not only do some jumps in this tower feel like pure RNG to land, but you also have whatever this deadly silent clubstep looking jump is that's extremely stupid to pull off in real runs. Tower of Heaven's Gate. You are absolutely free to disagree with me once again, but the first half of this tower kills all of my interest for it, and not only that, but even though the final stretch gets consistent, I really don't see the point in having a final stretch that could result in all progress being lost after a long time spent on the second half, as it's basically safety netted, so I'll be giving this a B tier. Tower of Exodus Obscurity. Extremely underrated tower if you ask me, as I absolutely love this tower's design and atmosphere along with the gameplay, as it does indeed live up to the tower's design. It's also less than 10 minutes long, which makes all of it even better once you fully understand all of the tower, even though it's like extremely difficult. And it might be a surprise to anyone who has played this, but this is officially yet another SS ranked tower in my opinion. Tower of Thirst Persecution. There isn't much to say about this, it doesn't have anything unique to it except the gameplay, which is sometimes cool, but sometimes garbage, and I've attempted to beat this as a new hardest at some point, but got to floor 3 and already started to dislike it quite a lot. I don't know if I could put this any higher than like a D tier. Steeple of Pole. Oh my god, pole dancing Steeple? Anyways, I am quite horrible at the game to properly judge the Steeple's gameplay, as will be the case for almost every single tower from now on, but I honestly really like this Steeple, and it absolutely baffles me how this was built like 4 years ago, as back then people made the worst towers, I swear to god, so I guess the creator was just too ahead of that time, which makes this Steeple even better, and even more deserving of its A tier, in my opinion. Tower of Violent Sojourn. I don't have enough experience to properly decide this tower's rating in terms of gameplay, but I do think it is a little overrated, although that doesn't really mean it's not good, as I really love the design choices, cause holy smokes, I love the usage of thunder sounds later into this tower for example, along with most of the tower's design after the first few floors, so I'll be giving this an A tier as well. Radio Tower. Guys, let's add a bunch of wall hops and some random gameplay that just comes to mind in a matter of seconds. That's basically what this tower is, but somehow I actually enjoy this in a weird way that I can't really explain. I don't know if I'm crazy or something, but like, it's not that bad for me. And I would beat this if I really had to, so B rank it is. I'm sure others would heavily disagree with this though, so that's pretty silly I guess. Tower of Vertigo. This is the Tower of Blind Fate if it was actually fun, and even though it's pretty inconsistent, I enjoy this tower as it's mostly based on like easier difficulty gameplay due to being over 30 minutes long, so I'm also giving this the B tier. Tired of elongated runs. Alright, I'll own up to it. I absolutely screwed this tower over by using as many skips as possible when I completed it, which I somewhat regret doing, but hey, I cannot be bothered to rebeat it without cheesing it, so I'll still be ranking it either way. And I would actually give this tower an S tier for how long ago it was made, but I can never forgive the first half for absolutely ruining my experience with this tower every single time, so it's only getting a B tier, lol. Tower of Illusion Crossings, a tower with more design than most Roblox games have as a whole, that's also good in gameplay terms. Holy smokes, this is some crazy stuff, chat. It's not entirely an SS tier in my opinion, as the gameplay isn't like that insane or like really fun to me, but it's still an S tier and you have to experience this for yourself if you are skilled enough, unlike me for real. Tower of Prolonged Condemnation. See guys, this is literally a Tower of Elongated Runs continuation, except it somehow manages to be worse than the original, and not only that, but I don't see a point in a continuation of an extremely old tower, and it's the exact same style as Tower of Elongated Runs, but I'm still putting this lower than the original, as it's slightly worse in my opinion. D tier. Tower of Fujiwara no Moko. Once again, before I was smart enough to make proper videos on this channel, I actually practiced, learned, and showcased this tower before. And yeah, while it is better than the Tower of Vacant Hindrances, I cannot excuse its massive flaws like whatever this part is, so it's getting a D tier, as it's not quite bad enough for an F. Tower of Cornered Kerfuffle. This is an extremely underrated tower that I have no clue how I've never seen anyone talk about this. It's quite annoying to run I guess, but once you're consistent, this is honestly so fun to try and complete, and surprisingly it uses client objects in a decent way that's not horrible, unlike other towers of this difficulty, so I'm giving this an A rank as it's not quite good enough for an S. Tower of Vacant Hindrances. If you don't know what this is, you've clearly never watched anything about the hardest Roblox obbies out there. But like anyways, I personally hate this, and I don't care if you're one of those speedrunners that can like beat this in like 4 minutes and then proceed to say it's the most fun you've ever had, cause it clearly isn't, and your father left you. And I'm allowed to use that insult because my father also left me, so this is an F tier. But with Tower of Vacant Hindrances out of the way, the hardest catastrophic difficulty tower is up next before the horrific difficulties, and I've actually beaten the Tower of Cruel Punishment. I would like to start off with the fact that I absolutely don't think this is as hard as it is said to be. I'd argue this is like mid-catastrophic, no offense to anyone who's beaten this. You literally don't seem to gain any skill from beating this though, which is literally very easily seen by my massive skill issue in some other towers. Anyways, other than that, I really enjoy this tower, and it somehow manages to have an entire final stretch that fits the tower and isn't garbage, unlike Heaven's Gate in my opinion. The only disgusting parts about this tower are the first 4 floors that get more boring than anything you can think of right now that's like boring. So this is an A tier from me. Well, we've come a long way, haven't we, huh? Only 29 towers left to go, and these towers are either horrific or unreal difficulty, which are difficulties that you'll probably never be able to complete even in your dreams. Or should I say crazy people only difficulties. Tower of Jabberwock Jagger. Now, whether or not I become one of the crazy people is another question by beating a horrific, but Tower of Jabberwock Jagger is the easiest horrific on the list as of recording this, and it's what I am grinding currently, as I've already gotten to floor 6. So with that, I can safely say this is by far the best horrific on the list in my opinion, although many people are saying it's peak catastrophic, so I guess we'll have to see about that. Anyways, the gameplay in this gets extremely consistent in such a satisfying way. It's absolutely crazy how satisfying it feels to play throughout this once you have run the tower. I absolutely love this tower, and it's an official SS rank from me once again. You are like a really good builder, whoever made this. Doomsday Tower. Bro, are we literally playing Limbo right now? Memory Tower with trash gameplay, 0 out of 10, would not recommend, gave me permanent brain damage, and ended up killing my entire bloodline, and my future wife and kids, by causing all of us dementia, F tier. Tower of Jawar. This is the tower that started a funny trend in the Roblox obby communities of people calling their towers stuff like Tower of Jaroof, Tower of Japole, Tower of the Floor, and so on. But other than that, this tower is a good beginner horrific if you are good at skill-based gameplay rather than like punishing gameplay like in Tower of Elongated Runs, as it is a very short tower with much harder gameplay than something like the Tower of Cruel Punishment. But it is pretty fun once you develop consistency, although I don't see myself ranking this any harder than like a B tier. Tower of Incessant Vexation. Whoever verified this obby is my biggest opponent, but this is basically a harder and weirder version of like Tower of Vacant Hindrances, and I absolutely hate the outsides on this tower as well. F rank at its finest. Tower of Trust Anarchy. I have too much of a skill issue to even remotely determine how fun the gameplay in this tower is when you are able to consistently do it, but it looks fun and it's a cool tower, so I guess it's a B tier once again. Also, why does nobody ever talk about this tower? It's like it doesn't even exist, I swear. Tower of the Bussin'. Once again, this is mostly a tower based on sheer difficulty that I don't have much experience with, even though I've outjumped it, so it's a B tier from me as it looks fun to grind, unlike something like Doomsday Tower. Tower of the Ice Wall. So I'm sure you remember the Cordis Catastrophic Difficulty Tower, which is the Tower of Geridity. Well, this is the Cordis Horrific Difficulty Tower, and honestly, whilst most people would absolutely hate this so far, I actually somewhat enjoyed this even though it's definitely not consistent in difficulty, and has awful gameplay in some parts. The theme of the tower is pretty cold and cool though, I guess, as it resembles the fact that you are climbing on an ice wall, so it's a C tier from me. Tower of Watermelon. This would easily be an A rank if the first few floors, especially floor 1, weren't as garbage as they are. And it's not because of the difficulty, but rather how annoying it is when you really start getting consistent at them. But then you get random fails that just make you wanna leave the game. Other than that though, it's pretty fun, especially for back when it was made. B rank at its finest, or well, actually I should give this an A rank, I'm probably just too bad at the game. Tower of Hollow Obstacles. You know, it's really ironic how the verifier of this obby hates it so much, even though he himself verified it. Anyway, so this tower was unironically first created when the tower creator's hardest obby completed was a remorseless difficulty obby, and this tower is 4 entire difficulties higher than remorseless. And even though it got somewhat revamped, it's still pretty bad even though I've not gotten much experience with it, and I'll be honest about that, so it's getting a D rank for now. I probably would put it hard if I was good at the game. Tower of Spatial Awareness. Funnily enough, I've also made a showcase for this tower before I made any actual content, which resulted in somebody who watched my video verifying the tower as the first horrific, once it got buffed to horrific difficulty. And whilst I can definitely see this tower being very fun for a few select people, I personally don't enjoy this style of gameplay, and neither are the design choices that appealing to look at in my opinion, so it's getting the B rank treatment from me. Tower of the Sky's the Limit. Oh yikes, this is the territory where towers become way too difficult for my skill, isn't it? Anyways, this tower has some pretty hard dodges and a bunch of jumps that I'm just not a fan of, but it could definitely be a huge skill issue from me, so it's getting a C rank. Nvidia Tower. You know, unlike a bunch of these towers, this tower actually has a personality to it, and that being the Nvidia design theme, which is pretty silly, especially since I have an Nvidia GPU myself. But the gameplay of this tower absolutely knocks my boots off, because I cannot understand like any of it at all, nor am I bothered getting consistent at it. But I do like the tower's personality a lot more, and the gameplay looks fun once you are consistent, so I'm giving this an A tier. Tower of Futile Perusal, or however you spell that. It's similar to Spatial Awareness, but this was made way before Spatial Awareness was made, and it's definitely the same thing as Spatial Awareness ranking got, so B tier it is. Tower of Malefic Nuisances. Hey, it's the first tower in a while that I actually have experience with somewhat, and by far my biggest issue with this tower is the amount of times you just somehow not jump and walk off to your death, because a lot of the gameplay in this tower is long jumps and wraparounds and stuff. Other than that, the design is pretty good and the gameplay isn't too bad, so even though I'd put this in the B tier, I probably have a massive skill issue, so I'm going to put this in the A tier for now. Tower of Zetai Tekina. This tower is the definition of don't judge a book by its cover. Cause holy shiver me timbers, this feels so impossible when you first attempt it or watch a video of this being done. I never expected this to be beaten, but looks like the strategies were too consistent for somebody to not verify this. One thing I do like about this tower though is that it relies on saving yourself a lot of the time, as it's pretty forgiving except for a few sections, so I'm going to give this yet another B tier. Tower of the Roof's Peak. I absolutely hate this jank style of gameplay. Straight up C tier, it has no design, I don't really know what else there is to this tower. Maybe I'm just too bad to properly judge it, I guess. Tower of Quite Devious. Holy let's go, I get to rant about how good this tower is for once in my life. I love this tower. This is by far my favorite horrific tower that's ever been created and beaten. And even though my personal best in this tower is only floor 5, I will admit the worst thing about this tower is how stupidly difficult it becomes once you get to floor 7. It's like one of those Geometry Dash levels that has the easiest beginning ever, but ends up being an extreme demon. Although that doesn't matter as much as it would for other towers, because while it is too, it becomes a lot harder. The gameplay is actually so damn good, man, I can't. I enjoy playing this any time of the day, and I have to give this the SS tier once again. Steeple of Cheeseburger. Fun fact, this is the practice obby for the Pit of Misery area in Juke's Towers of Hell, and was never meant to even be called Steeple of Cheeseburger, as that's rather a community developed name for a practice obby steeple. And I'll be honest, I got no clue about the strategies to make this steeple's gameplay consistent, although it seems pretty bad and I'm going to have to go with a standard D rank for this. Tower of Flagrant Aggravation. Well, this is it, guys. The 11th hardest tower ever beaten on Roblox, before we get into the top 10 hardest towers to ever be beaten on Roblox. Honestly, this tower's gameplay is pretty fun overall once you become consistent at it, and the design also isn't that bad, so I would give this tower an A tier, but the final stretch just ruins the tower in my opinion. It's a huge final stretch that just kills your entire run if you fail once, and the gameplay is actually stupid, I swear to god, so I'm giving this a B tier. With that out of the way though, we're finally in the top 10 hardest towers ever beaten on Roblox. And whilst it's true that me playing these towers and trying to be good at them is like a toddler trying to learn how to read their first words, I think I could properly rank a few things here, such as Citadel of Infinite Void. So with that said, the 10th hardest tower ever beaten is Tower of Lucas Penteado. Despite the name making this tower sound like it's a joke tower, this is actually possibly the best top 10 tower, and I don't care what you might say. This gets consistent with the right strategies, and even though the last floors of this are extremely inconsistent compared to the first, they are inconsistent in a way that somehow just blends in with everything, and makes the tower much more nerve-wracking and enjoyable for me at the end of the day. So surprise, surprise, I'm giving this the S tier. I just personally like this a lot. Tower of Eternal Void. This tower has a crazy amount of history to it related to the Roblox obbying communities. Other than that though, this was made ages ago, so this was an insane project back for when it was made, even though nowadays this would be considered something like an F rank tower, and I would actually give this tower an S rank, but I'd rather not, as the last 3 floors are way harder than the first 7 floors in difficulty. And some of this tower's gameplay is just horrible, like what the hell is this section on screen? I also wanted to try to do this as a new hardest tower, but it's way too hard for me as of right now, due to the last 3 floors from now, and it's also extremely long, so it's an A tier at most from me, and that's mainly due to how long ago this was made. If it was made nowadays, I would give this like an F. Tower of jtoh. This is like 5 minutes long, no clue why this needed to be beaten, but hey, fair enough I guess. It's not like it's the worst top 10 at least. However, I heavily dislike towers like this, but that is entirely because I'm garbage at towers of this difficulty. So I'm sure this gets consistent somewhat if you have the skill for it. B tier from me. Tower of Prisma Radiance. Please God save me from this abomination of violent difficulty inconsistency. What the actual hell of a science experiment shenanigans happened to the second half of this tower, bro? It turns from like a high catastrophic tower into some crazy jumps that I can barely land. But again, I can't judge that too much, as it might just be a huge skill issue from me. Other than that though, the design is really good, so I'm giving this a C tier for now. Tower of Jaded Compromise. The design of this tower is really good, but it quickly gets repetitive. Other than that though, I actually love this tower, but I'm definitely not good enough to properly rank something of this difficulty, as it requires a lot of muscle memory in order to get consistent at this, especially considering there's some very awkward corner flips that require quick timed key presses, so that's why I'll be giving this an A rank only. Tower of Dissociative Force. This was actually unreal difficulty at first, but looks like people think it's horrific now, so this is the first ever peak horrific tower to be beaten on Roblox, I guess. And it clearly isn't because of the quality of the tower being good. Although I do see how this would be enjoyable for somebody like the very far off this tower. The music choices are great though, I'll give it that, but the gameplay really isn't. C rank at most. Tower of Blind Fate. Welcome to the easiest Unreal tower that for some reason took ages to be beaten despite so many people racing to be the first. And unlike other towers, I actually have some proper experience on this. The gameplay is somewhat enjoyable once you get consistent, I guess, but I'm not too sure. It's nothing crazy though, especially considering it's older than like Cocomelon's audience. There also isn't any good design, but the color choices and music choices are honestly pretty good. So I'll have to give this a B tier honestly. It's not that bad in my opinion, except some inconsistent parts like this one. I assume it gets consistent though, I hope. However, with Tower of Blind Fate out of the way, we have officially reached our last 3 towers in this entire video that I totally don't regret making unless it does good on YouTube, and I really hope it does, so subscribe and like the video so it does good. Alright, anyways. Citadel of the Eternal Calamity is next. As much as I would like to give this an S tier for many reasons, such as the gameplay quality being extremely enjoyable in real runs, and the progression route being pretty good along with the design going well with everything else, I just cannot because of the first floors of the Citadel. I assume it gets so damn tedious to always have to do the first few floors of this Citadel in real runs, so no wonder Skitsuna gave up on grinding this for real. I'd rather play Souls RNG than having to deal with a crazy amount of dumb fails, although it's still getting an A tier as most of the Citadel is pretty good. Like, really good actually. IKEA Tower. This is like the Geometry Dash firework of Roblox obbies, except it's everything but good in quality. It was thought to be the hardest tower ever beaten on Roblox, but with the correct strategies and good enough consistency, this turns out to be number 2. With that said though, this tower basically has the personality of an alcoholic, extremely empty and lonely, without any decoration, but some gems are somewhat good, so I guess D tier from me, and I couldn't care less if you're like a top player that somehow enjoys this, because it's our opinions after all, am I right? Well, with all of that out of the way, here it is, the Citadel of Infinite Void. Our final and hardest tower ever beaten on Roblox as of right now, even though it's a Citadel. And if I was to ask myself 1 year ago to rate the Citadel for the tier list, I would have instantly given it like an SS tier or something, but I have long changed my mind ever since then, as this honestly becomes one of the most miserable grinds of your life. Once you get so consistent that you simply have to rely on that one good run out of thousands of runs in order to beat this. The gameplay gets extremely consistent as most of it is pretty easy and well made, and every single floor does fit in its own way with the Citadel's design choices, but due to the inhuman length of this Citadel, it eventually gets to a point where you just mostly have to rely on not having one dumb fail in like 2 entire hours, so I will be giving this an A tier. And there it is, every top 100 hardest tower on Roblox ever beaten, ranked and played to find out which ones are more enjoyable than others. And if you've watched this still here and you're still watching, thank you so much, as this video honestly took me ages to make, and I didn't think I would push through with this project, so if you could subscribe and like and comment, I would really appreciate it so much, as it helps the video grow a lot more than you think, because every single person watching matters. And thank you so much to all of my donators and members. You can become a member anytime if you want to like have some random emojis and a cool special ego inflating title, I guess. Seriously though, thank you so much for watching, donating, doing all of that stuff, subscribing, whatever else there is. And I would also like to say this video was inspired by Propeller's video of him playing 100 games. And if you wish to try any of these towers, the link of the list will be in the description.